Hello and welcome to the first Reforj Q&A. We've heard all your questions about Reforj and hopefully we're going to aim to answer as many as we can in this video. I'm Nathan, the community manager at 4J Studios, and I'm here with Joe, a member of the design team. How you feeling, Joe?
Yeah, feeling good, excited. I'm looking forward to answering some of these questions because I've been spending a lot of time reading comments and looking through other people's conversations, and I've been wanting to answer all of them. So hopefully this will be a good condensed place to answer as many as we can.
Exactly, yeah. So let's start with your involvement with Reforj, because you announced you were working with 4J back in May, right?
Maybe, probably.
Yeah,
you probably know better than me. Yeah, so I started working here in January, so I had quite a long period of feeling like a spy and being incognito secretly working at 4J. But then, yeah, it was announced when we announced the Elements engine.
And how did it feel to finally announce Reforj and have it out there?
It's nice, it's good, because I feel a bit spoiled, because a lot of games when they're being developed is people aren't allowed to say anything, and you'll go off and like work on a thing for like 3 years in silence.
Yeah.
And then finally it's announced close to release, whereas I feel quite lucky because we're announcing it so early and the plan is for us to be so open.
Yeah.
It's quite liberating just to be like, I can just talk about this stuff and not have to worry about NDAs or spoilers or anything.
So let's talk about Reforj. People have got lots of questions and we've not talked about much just yet. So we're going to answer as many questions as we can from the community. Let's start with platforms. So do we know what platforms Reforj is going to be available on?
Yeah, so the current plan is for the Xbox Series consoles, so Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5 and PC.
So some people have said they're not too keen on the character or the environment. So is that final or will it change over time?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was just saying about, because we're showing the game so early, we're showing artwork that normally you would never see in a game at this stage of development. So it's really early. So kind of along with everything in the game, all of that's going to continue to improve and evolve. They're working on it right now. So I'd say kind of just stay tuned, keep an eye on kind of how it changes. But if there is anything specific about the art or anything that you're not fond of or have any opinions on, then yeah, please do feel free to share them though.
Yeah, we want as much feedback as we can to help evolve the game over time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that why we're showing it off so early, or is there another reason?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely the big reason. Kind of what I was saying is it doesn't make sense for 4J to kind of go quiet developing a thing for years and then say, this is what we made, and no one cares.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to show it really early, and then that means we can involve the community very early, and that kind of started with bringing me on at the beginning of the year. We've brought a group of content creators up last month to show them the game. That was kind of the next stage. And now we're kind of beginning the third stage, which is going to be opening it wider and sharing information about the game to try and hear what the community thinks.
So on that note, when will people be able to get their hands on the game?
So we are currently planning to have a closed alpha early 2025. That's the plan.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you think will be in there?
So we're currently working towards what we're calling the survival milestone, and that is really focusing on the core aspects that make a survival game fun. So enemies, hostile mobs, kind of hunger, like danger, the ability to kind of really build a house and hunker down. And so all of kind of the core elements you'd expect for a survival game, we're getting those into the game, but in a very kind of basic level, just to make sure we kind of have that core gameplay loop, and then we're going to expand it wider from there.
So will Reforj have multiplayer either early on or later down the line? Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, so absolutely we'll have multiplayer. That's another thing we're kind of working out exactly how it's going to be. At the moment, it's going to be player hosted, kind of peer-to-peer rather than servers. But as we kind of continue to grow, servers will be something we'll look to in the future.
Excellent. So what's the best way for community to give feedback and submit their ideas about the game?
The best place is probably the 4J Studios Discord server. We have a really active server. We have developers on there all of the time. We have a place on there specifically for feedback, and we look at every single thing that you put on there. So that's probably the most direct way. But I know both of us in particular, also just look around through comments of any videos we make, or even videos that other people make about the game. We're kind of looking everywhere we can. This video itself, the comment section will hopefully be a good place for feedback as well. So the most direct way is the 4J Studios Discord, but we're kind of keeping an eye out across the internet. Anyone talking about Reforj, we're looking at it.
Yeah, that was probably a question for me, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
Okay, going back to the game. Will there be mobs?
Yes, absolutely. So as I kind of mentioned with the survival milestone, we're kind of looking to add the first couple of mobs into the game. That'll absolutely be a lot of interesting creatures for you to discover. And actually, there's one that we have hinted to in the key art if you look very, very closely.
Ooh.
Some people have missed it, but there is a hint to one of them out there already.
That's exciting. I like that. Okay, so will there be creative and survival modes?
Yeah, so there's already creative and survival mode in the game. And at the moment, as I said, we're kind of really focusing on expanding the survival side.
Will there be mini games?
So 4J Studios have a history of making minigames, and they really like minigames. So it would probably be a pretty safe bet, but that's not the main focus at the moment.
Right. Will there be tutorial world?
Once again, 4J Studios has a history of making really amazing tutorial worlds, and so yeah, that's definitely something that is on people's minds inside of the studio as well as out.
I think I might know the answer to this next question, but I'll ask it anyway. Will there be customizable flat worlds as well?
Yeah, I mean, same as the last few. That is something that people really loved with the console editions that 4J Studios made. So it's not in the game at the moment, but you know, we're looking for also just feedback on Reforj, but we also kind of know throughout the history of 4J Studios what people have really liked, and we're really focusing on that as well.
So we want to kind of meet people's expectations and kind of, you know, make it a smooth transition over to Reforj, right?
We want to beat their expectations, not meet them.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Okay, so will the player be able to switch between first and third person perspectives?
Yeah, and so that's already in the game now. So we default in the first person perspective because we found that's easier when you're in kind of small, like tight caves, or if you're building and you need precision. But we do have third person as well, and we're working a lot on third person to make the camera feel good, how it handles being in tight spaces, like what happens if the character's blocked by something. You have full freedom to spin the camera around. So a lot of the time, if I'm exploring the world, I'll switch to third person, and I like that view and seeing the character animations. But then when I'm getting down to building, that's when I go into first person. So we're trying to make sure both perspectives feel really good to play, kind of depending on what the player's doing.
Speaking of exploring the world, do we know how big the world's going to be?
Yeah, so the world is 4,096 elements, which is kind of what we call the voxels, because they're not really blocks, because they could be any different shape. So it's kind of about 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers in size. But there isn't an invisible wall or a barrier when you reach the end. The world actually loops. So if you kind of looked in a direction and just kind of kept walking, you'd end up going back to where you started again. So that's quite good. And then we also have gateways, which we're going to be adding to the game, which allows you to visit new worlds within one kind of world save, which allows you to really expand. So even though each world isn't infinite or, you know, immensely big, you know, hopefully it all will be linked up with all these different gateways. You have all of these different ways that you can explore new worlds.
Sweet. So this is going to be a bit of a tough one, but it's something people are asking, and is Reforj a Minecraft clone, or is it something different?
We've seen quite a lot of people obviously directly comparing to Minecraft. It makes sense. It's in the same genre. It's a survival sandbox game with, you know, a bit of voxel grid, and also obviously because it's made by 4J Studios and 4J have a history of Minecraft, like those comparisons were going to be inevitable. I was saying that everyone in the studio really loves Minecraft, just had a fun time working on it. I obviously personally really like Minecraft, but we don't need to make another one because Minecraft already exists and it's great. And so that is not the goal, is we're not trying to make another Minecraft or Minecraft 2. We're doing our own thing. And I guess that people will have to just kind of stay tuned, because as we share more and more information about what we're doing that is different, I think it will kind of become clear sort of how Reforj is going to be Reforj and Minecraft is going to be Minecraft. Obviously already in the game we have things like the sculpting tools that allow you to make all different shapes, the way the terrain generates, that's kind of the first big distinction. But in terms of what we're going to be adding in terms of our mechanics, I guess people just have to stay tuned as we share more and more about that in the future.
What can we talk about so far in terms of unique features of Reforj?
Yes, as I said, so the sculpting tools is the big one for now. And then the fact that we've built it kind of with the own, I say we, 4J Studios has built it from the ground up with their own engine, the Elements engine, specifically for this type of game. It enables some really powerful things, like it's locked 60 FPS, that's the target for all platforms. the speed and like the smoothness that the world loads in.
Yeah.
Like you don't see kind of bits of terrain kind of just appearing. You can go really fast over the world. Things like physics simulations, you know, we can blow up the side of a mountain, you can see like the rubble falling down, things like that. I think are really going to set it apart, like the water simulations that we have in there. Like this is a game that's kind of been built from the ground up for the current generation of consoles as well as PC. And so I think that gives a really strong foundation for all of the ideas we have for crazy things in the future that we want to add to the game.
So I'm going to give you a bit of a wild card here.
Okay.
But what is your favorite thing to do in the game so far?
It's so really boring. I just love rolling new worlds. So the world generation has evolved a lot just within the last couple months. Whereas at first the worlds looked quite nice, but they were quite uniform. And now there's a lot more variety. And so I just really like loading up new worlds and seeing what sort of terrain you get. Like finding, I kept looking at this, we've got these mountains and you can have like these river caves that go through them down to waterfalls. And there's a wingsuit in the game, and I love trying to like fly through those. But maybe it's a bit boring, but I keep loading up new worlds and just kind of flying over them really fast.
It looks really fun.
Yeah, just to see like what you can get. I've done like a bit of building. I'm not the best at building because we've got these new sculpting tools, so you make all these different shapes. As I always just try and use all of them all the time. And I end up making really ugly things just because I want to use it. Like everything's round, just because I can make circles now. Like round door, round windows.
You're not with everything.
Yeah, you could make it look good, but I'm not like artistic enough to make it look good yet. But it's really fun just using them.
So on that note, what do you think the community is really going to pick up and enjoy about Reforj?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, I think it's going to be an interesting world. I think we're not sharing too much about the story now because the plan is we're going to kind of litter the world with sort of hints of the story, kind of environmental storytelling, almost like an archaeological kind of style. We don't want to give too much. We want kind of the community to kind of come to their own conclusions. But I think just the setting of the world, like the technology that's available to the player is quite unique. It's not like a pure fantasy or pure sci-fi settings, as well as the creatures that we have in the world. Like the game is not set on Earth, so you're not finding kind of animals, you know, you're not finding giraffes and rhinos. You know, we have our own unique creatures that will be familiar in some ways, comparable to animals, but I think look quite interesting. So I'm really curious to see what players think of that side of things and, you know, how interesting they find the world that they're going to be inhabiting.
Okay, that's pretty much all the time we've got. Unfortunately, we can't answer all your questions, but we've got lots to talk about in the future. We're a small team and we've got really big ideas, so we can't wait for you to see what we're working on. We're currently working on getting an early version of Reforj in the hands of players as soon as we can, early 2025, you said, right?
That's the plan.
Oh, so exciting. But for now, please keep asking your questions on the 4J Discord. We're also listening on all our socials at 4J Studios on everywhere pretty much. Or if you go to our 4J Studios website, there'll be links to all our socials there as well. But yeah, mostly the Discord, we've got FAQ channels, we've got feedback channels, we've got questions channels where your questions might be answered by me or Joe sometime in the future. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you around. Stay tuned.
Bye.